Thank you for joining us. While this presentation is tailored to help first-time filers, it's also a helpful refresher for anyone looking to better understand the homestead exemption process or stay up to date on the latest requirements. Before we dive in, here's a quick look at what we'll be covering today. First, we'll start with an overview of the Nebraska Homestead Exemption, what it is, who qualifies, and why it's beneficial. Then, we'll walk through the filing process step by step, especially helpful if this is your first time applying. After that, we'll cover what happens once you apply. By the end, you'll feel confident in navigating the entire process. The state of Nebraska offers the Homestead Exemption program to help reduce property taxes for eligible homeowners. Depending on your qualifications, the program can provide either a partial or full exemption of your property taxes. One key eligibility requirement is that you must own and occupy your primary residence between January 1 and August 15 of the tax year. This means the home must be your main place of residence during that time and must be in your name or a trust. Now that we've touched on the basic eligibility requirement, owning and living in your primary residence, let's take a moment to define exactly what that means. What is considered a homestead under this program? A homestead is more than just a house. It's a primary residence where you live. A homestead includes the house or mobile home that you live in. It also includes up to 1 acre of land surrounding your home. To qualify for the homestead exemption, you or the surviving spouse of the owner must live in the home as your primary place of residence and must be listed as the owner on the title. So now that we know what qualifies as a homestead, let's talk about who can benefit from the exemption. There are several specific groups of people the state recognizes as eligible. Let's take a look. There are several categories of people who can qualify. Here's a quick look at the main ones. Seniors 65 years or older, veterans with non-service connected disabilities, individuals with permanent mobility disabilities, veterans with 100% service-connected permanent disability, surviving spouses of veterans, veterans whose home is supported by the VA, individuals with developmental disabilities, and qualified total temporary disabled veterans. Now that we've covered the different groups who may qualify for the homestead exemption, let's take a closer look at what's required beyond just meeting a category. For many applicants, income plays an important role in determining eligibility, so let's break down how that works and who it applies to. Only some categories require you to meet a household income limit. These include seniors age 65 or older, veterans with non-service connected disabilities, individuals with permanent mobility disabilities, and individuals with developmental disabilities. If you're in one of these income-based categories, your household income from last year will be used to see if you qualify. Now, here's what counts as household income. Your federal adjusted gross income, plus Social Security income, even if it's not taxable, certain types of interest, dividends, and retirement income, and some special tax adjustments like carryover losses. If you're living in the home with a closely related family member like a parent, sibling, or spouse, and they are also an owner, their income will also be included. Good news, if you had high medical or dental expenses last year, you may be able to deduct them. If you qualify under any of the following categories, income limits do not apply to you. Veterans with 100% service-connected permanent disability, surviving spouses of veterans, veterans whose home is supported by the VA, qualified totally temporarily disabled veterans. Now that you know who needs to meet income limits and what counts as household income, let's look at the actual numbers. The state sets annual income limits, and these limits don't just determine whether you qualify, they also affect how much of an exemption you get. So even if your income is a bit above the threshold for a full exemption, you may still qualify for a partial exemption based on where you fall within the income range. Once you've reviewed the income limits and know where you stand, the next step is putting that knowledge into action by filing your application. Let's walk through what the process looks like. Here's how you file. You'll need to complete the Form 458. If you are qualifying by income, you will also need to submit the Form 458 Schedule I. If you are qualifying by a disability, you will need to also submit a Form 458B. If you are qualifying as a veteran, You will need a letter certifying disability from the Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs. You will file the form with us at the County Assessor Register of Deeds office, and the deadline for filing is June 30th each year. You can find and download the applicable forms for your situation from the County Assessor Register of Deeds website, or you may contact the Assessor Register of Deeds office to mail them to you, or you may come into our office and complete them in person. We are always happy to help. After you've submitted your completed application, you might be wondering, what's next? Let's go over what happens after your application is filed and what you can expect moving forward. Once you submit your application, both the County Assessor's Office and the State of Nebraska will review it. If the application is approved, your property taxes will be reduced by the applicable percentage amount, and the state will reimburse the county for that reduction. You will receive a notification from the state letting you know if you're approved or need to provide more information. The County Treasurer's Office sends real estate tax statements out toward the end of the year, with the first half of any remaining property taxes due by March 31st. Now that you know just what to expect after you apply, let's wrap up with a few important reminders to keep in mind, just to make sure everything goes smoothly. Before we finish, here are a few important reminders to help you filing process go smoothly. Only one exemption per home. Each property can only have one homestead exemption, even if multiple people live there who might qualify. You must live in the home. To qualify, it must be your primary residence between January 1 and August 15th. You must own the home. Your name must be on the deed of the property. If your home is in a trust, you must provide a copy of that trust with your application. Know your category. Be sure you're applying under the correct category, and if your category requires it, include all income and supporting documents. Don't forget, Form 458 is required for everyone. Schedule I is required if you're qualifying based on income, and Form 458B may be needed if you're qualifying based on disability. The deadline is June 30th. Applications must be filed with the County Assessor Register of Deeds by this date every year. Now that you have all the key details, we want to make sure you have the support you need as you go through the application process. We hope this presentation has helped clarify the homestead exemption process for you. If you have any questions or need further assistance, please don't hesitate to reach out. Our office is here to help every step of the way. Here is how you can contact us. By phone, 402-441-7463. By email, assessor@lancaster.ne.gov. Our website is lancaster.ne.gov. And our office hours are 7:30 to 4:30 p.m. Monday through Friday. Good luck with your application, and we look forward to helping you through the process.